What's up, guys? Hope you're doing safe and well out there. Every so often, I find it's important to take a look at my backpacking gear and assess to find what's exactly bringing me value, out on the trail or at camp, and what's only serving as less than optimal or just dead space and weight entirely. Well, with the new year, I'm making no exceptions. And today, I want to share with you a few items that won't be bogging me down anymore in 2026. One of the ongoing challenges I face after days in the backcountry is keeping my devices charged. That includes my cell phone, my Apple Watch, assorted camera gear. I find it a little challenging because I really haven't had a battery that can keep up. And I've kind of had to supplement my singular battery with a second one. And I've actually had a couple of these 10,000 milliamp Blavor. I think they're called Blavor. I just picked these up on Amazon a while back, and they're kind of a combo deal. And so they've got a USB-A, a USB-C, and I think it has like a bypass charging option. But with these batteries, they do have solar and a flashlight and a contactless, well, not a contactless, but a wireless charging option. Now, I don't use any of those options. At most, maybe if I was in a bind, I would use the flashlight option and save or my headlamp were to go out or something like that. But honestly, I don't think I've ever turned these flashlights on. The solar portion to me is absolutely useless. I've set these things out in direct sunlight for like 6 to 8 hours and didn't charge a single cell in there. So effectively the flashlight, the wireless charging, and the solar charging, it's all just dead weight. And so it's completely lost on me. There's absolutely no reason why I would need any of those options. And each of these weigh, I believe, 9 ounces. So in total, I have 18 ounces to give me 20,000 milliamp hours. So these are done. I'm done with these in 2026. And instead, I am going over to the Nitecore NB 20,000. It is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank. It does not have any of the superfluous features like the Blavor. It's got basically 2 USB-C outs. It does come with a USB-C to USB-A adapter if I were to need that. And yeah, basically I just click here to test its battery level and just double click that to turn that off. Very no frills. A much smaller profile. This weighs 10 ounces. So I'm saving 8 ounces right there. I am saving half a pound by ditching my old 10,000 milliamp hour batteries to go to one 20,000 milliamp hour battery. So my next gear item I won't be bringing with me in 2026. I put a lot of thought into this, and I honestly, this is a personal decision. I know a lot of people will absolutely go to bat for this, but I'm done with camp stools. It's just my personality, or maybe it's just my fidgetiness, is that I carry one of these which weighs a pound or more all day long. And ultimately, when I get to camp, I'll set up my stool and I won't sit in it. Basically, this will just turn into like a little table for trinkets. And when I'm out there at camp, I'm done setting up. I'm probably just kicking rocks around, cooking food, getting ready for the evening, and just wandering about. This is just an observation that I have made of myself over the course of several years. Even if I have a campfire, I'm typically just standing around and just lollygagging. I just have a problem sitting. Now, if I want to sit, I'll either just sit in my tent, or I don't know if you can see it. I have a very lightweight Z seat here. I'll put that up on the screen here in just a sec. But this suits my personality style a lot better. And plus with the Z seat, it's more versatile. So if I am going from site to site and I find out like a really cool place to sit, I'll just pull out the Z seat, unfold it, and just plop down on a rock or just on the ground. Now, pulling out one of the camp stools is a little more challenging while going site to site. And so, yeah, I'm just finding the Z seat to be way more versatile. Plus, I can actually, in the wintertime, if I need it, I can stuff it underneath my inflatable sleep system and just give myself just an eensy bit additional R value there. But yeah, please don't roast me on this. I know a lot of you guys just absolutely love camp stools. And I've had this one. I picked this up from REI. This is my very first one. I probably picked this up 15 years ago. And I bring it to base camp, camping, and even still, even at just going up to a state park or something like that, I'll bring this out and I won't even sit on it. So yeah, totally lost on me. I should probably donate these, honestly, because I'm not really getting much use out of it. But like I said, please don't roast me. And feel free to drop a comment if you have any suggestions on any other types of ultralight backpacking seats. I'd love to hear those. So another item I won't be bringing on future backpacking trips. This is a tough one because I've really enjoyed having this on me. It's very informational when I don't necessarily quite know the trail and I don't want to pull my phone out repeatedly just to make sure that I'm on the right course or I might be getting some elevation gain, is my Apple Watch. In particular, my Apple Watch paired with AllTrails. It's really cool to be able to see, just simply by looking at my wrist, what to expect. If a big climb is coming, I'll be able to see that. I'll be able to see exactly how far I've gone, how far I have yet to go to my destination. It's just very, very cool. The problem with the Apple Watch, while paired and using AllTrails, is I get maybe 6 to 7 hours of use and my watch is cooked. It's done. So it's useful for day hiking where I may not be pushing more than 6, 7 hours. That's perfectly fine. But multi-day trips, my watch, it can't come with me. Another reason it won't be coming with me is I've actually picked up a very low cost Casio MIP display watch that does not require charging. Now, my Apple Watch does require charging, and it uses the standard Apple Watch magnetic cable, which I like to consolidate charging cables. And to have a singular cable dedicated to my watch, it's kind of annoying, especially charging at night with the watch kind of glowing in my face. So that is gonna stay home. The MIP watch, my Casio MIP watch, is gonna come with me. It does have a little backlight that I can activate. So at the very least, I'm not gonna lose the ability to see what time it is at night. Yeah, so an added bonus with the Casio MIP watch, while compared to the Apple Watch, is if the MIP watch were to get damaged or broken, really no big deal. $30, no problem. If the Apple Watch were to so much as get a scratch or get damaged, destroyed, I would probably be a little put out to be down a few $100s. So now, not quite as robust and versatile as the Apple Watch. I think for the purpose of telling time, I think this will more than suffice. And so, yeah, the Casio MIP watch, I'm sure it has a model number. I just can't quite recall what it is at the moment. This will be coming with me in 2026. Hey, and just real quick, if you're enjoying this video and would like to be notified of future content, please hit that subscribe button and bell icon. And while you're there, please hit that like button. Doing so will help bring this video to a wider audience. Now let's get back to it. So this next one won't really apply to you guys that aren't visually impaired, but I really like wearing sunglasses while on the trails, especially going in and out of brightness and low light. Now, unfortunately, in order for me to wear sunglasses, I don't have prescription sunglasses. In order for me to wear sunglasses, I have to be wearing my contacts. And wearing contacts while on the trail in and of itself is no issue. It's when nighttime comes and I've got to take those things out. Now, when I'm at camp, my fingers may not necessarily be the most sterile. And one thing I don't like to do is to stick dirty fingers into my eyes to remove the little pieces of plastic off my eyeballs called contacts. And conversely, I don't necessarily like doing that in the morning to put contacts in, which morning times, especially when it's cold, putting contacts in, I find to be just near impossible. And so I'm making the decision now to just forego contacts and backpacking all together and just stick with my glasses. And so another thing, while bringing contacts while backpacking, that usually requires the use of solution, such as OptiFree here. One might bring a case for obviously storing contacts during the evening. And there's also the option of bringing disposable contacts. Now, the thing about disposable contacts is once you take the contacts out of these things, you have added waste here, which doesn't weigh all that much, but even still, it's kind of not really a necessity. It's more of a want. And so, yeah, I'm just going to go with the glasses. I think that's just the easiest thing to do. And plus, if I was wearing contacts and I had to take my contacts out in the evening, I would still need my glasses. For any reason I needed to step out of my tent in the middle of the night, I'd still would want to see and not have to put my contacts back on. So yeah, a very no frills kind of thing here, but yeah, very important, the ability to see properly. And it's just a friction point. I don't really need to be dealing with all that while I'm dealing with everything else that comes with setting up camp and breaking down camp. It's glasses for me in 2026. So another item I'm swapping out in 2026, not really necessarily a piece of backpacking gear, but it's something that comes with me on each and every trip. And that is my wallet. Obviously, I have my driver's license, my cards, etc., cash and such. So if I am heading out, I typically just stuff this into like the zipper portion of my backpack and just forget about it for the entirety of my trip. Now, the problem, well, there's a couple of problems here. It does take up some space, obviously, and adds a little bit of weight. And there's just a little too much going on here. And so as an alternative, I'm going to be swapping out for a much lighter weight option. And I've got a zipper wallet here from Hilltop Packs. This one is about 0.7 ounces, I believe. A much lighter option, much more slender. So I can just throw my credit card, my driver's license, insurance card, and some cash in here if I need to. So a very no frills kind of swap, but something that over time will stack up and save me some space. So going into 2026, the standard wallet is going to stay home, or at least in my car. So the next item I'm not bringing in 2026, not technically a piece of gear, well, not a piece of gear at all, is my deodorant. I know this is going to be a very provocative item, but I think I'm making the right choice here in that the deodorant is going to stay home. And I'll tell you why. Not just simply for the space savings. Obviously, there are much smaller deodorants that I could be bringing with me on backpacking trips, but for the aroma alone. In civilization, as we go about, the deodorant has its place. Now, on the trail, I find that after a day or so, it's not really doing all that much anyway. And another observation that I have made as a solo backpacker is when I get into more heavily hiked areas after a while and I'm near folks, and I don't even have to be really near them, but I can be approaching them or they can be upwind or downwind and I can actually smell people's laundry detergent. And then that's something that I don't necessarily smell while not backpacking. That tells me that if I, as a human, can smell people from 50 feet away, that's telling me that animals that are out there all the time can smell me constantly, especially with artificial fragrances, bears included, which is my my number one concern. So I think, well, for 2026, I'm going to leave the deodorant at home. I'm just going to embrace the smelly hiker archetype and just be one with the wild finally. One thing I always prepare for while hiking, no matter what the forecast might say, is rain. Because especially in the summertime, there might be a rolling thunderstorm that comes through or just a rain shower. And I just don't want to be caught up in that and getting wet, especially in the wintertime. And that typically means I'll stuff a rain jacket, rain pants there in any pack that I bring with me, especially while backpacking. And one thing that I've brought before that has come in handy is an umbrella. This one right here is a 3-foot diameter umbrella, more than enough to cover me and my backpack. And this one actually can be attached to my shoulder strap, and I can hike without holding the umbrella, because anytime I'm caught in a rain shower, the last thing I want to do is to dedicate a hand to holding an umbrella, especially when things get really slick, walking on rocks and roots and such. So while advantageous, it's not necessarily the most conducive item while backpacking in non-rain conditions. Having to attach this to the side of my backpack is kind of clunky and bulky. I do have a secondary option here, which is my Gorilla Grip umbrella, which is slightly heavier than my Z-Packs umbrella here. And while it is a 3-foot diameter umbrella, this one doesn't really fit into the lightweight category. And so I'm a little on the fence about whether to bring an umbrella into 2026. Now, this can be advantageous while at camp. If I've already made it to camp, having an umbrella could be useful. But as far as actually hiking with an umbrella, I think I'm actually done even entertaining that thought. Instead, I will just simply defer to my rainwear. My rain gear should be enough to shed water enough off me and keep my hands free for both of my trekking poles so that I can maintain proper footing without slipping and sliding if I am stuck in an absolute washout. So the last thing I won't be bringing into 2026, unfortunately, are my trusty Keen hiking boots. I've gotten probably about 400 miles of good use out of these guys. They have treated me so well. Unfortunately, I'm starting to get some significant sole separation and cracking and such, and they're just really beat up. I'll still be able to wear these around the house, but trusting them on the trail, I think those days are behind me. Instead, I'll be bringing my new Keen Targhee 4s. I still have a little bit of breaking in to do here, but so far I've really enjoyed these. They've held up in just the last week or so that I've had them, and I'm looking forward to really putting these things to the test here in a week or so. All good things must come to an end, and out with the old and in with the new.